Ladies and gentlemen, back from a hiatus, your favorite postseason show in regards to Alabama football is back. The Bama Standard postseason show. Before we jump into things, I want you to go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button, jump in this live chat. Let's hear what you think. Hey, we might talk about something controversial, and we need your feedback, and we love debates. If you're watching the replay, get in the comment section. Let us know how you feel. As always, we're brought to you by Workspace Solutions and Oakmont Financial Partners. I'm your host, Justin Riley. With me, as always, is the living legend who keeps the lights turned on, the Honorable Senator Coach Smook Hines. What is going on, sir?
What's up, man? A lot of news to get to today, man. I'm ready to get to it, bro. For real, roll tide.
Roll Tide. Glad to say that. And I think we've all healed pretty well from the NCAA tournament. Is that safe to say?
Yeah. We're good, man. We see a bright future with Coach Oates and the type of change that he's causing Alabama basketball culture in the program. So we fell short. Yeah, we had a lot of talent, but it's only going to get better from here. We got at least another 3 or 4 years of this type of level of competition in the basketball program.
Absolutely. Hey, and shout out to Antoine Pettway, who just snagged the head coaching gig at Kennesaw State. Couldn't be happier for him.
Right.
Hate to see him leave Alabama because he embodies Bama basketball and that culture.
Yes.
And he was a key piece to that success that we've had thus far. Of course, Nate Oates had a little bit to do with it, but
Right.
Antoine Pettway was just as pivotal. And speaking of Antoine Pettway, before we get started, Coach, tomorrow night on the Bama Standard right here, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, Antoine Pettway is going to be our guest. So,
Right.
folks, I know it's the week of the A-Day game, but we got to give Antoine his flowers. If you were a fan of his growing up or you attended the school while he was there, it's time to get on, give him his props, and we might even have a few special guests, but we will talk some football too. But hey, we're here right now to talk about football. As we always say, the postseason does not mean things slow down. It does not mean the door closes on events happening, because this is Alabama football. This isn't some random Big Ten school. This is the epicenter of college football. And a lot of things are happening, transfer portal, recruiting, pro days. NFL draft is next week. And this little thing called, what was it? Spring practice. Yeah, that's going on. And we've had 2 scrimmages to talk about it. We're going to address that. But first things first, Coach, props to the man, Jalen Hurts.
Yes, sir.
As Bama Hammer has already pointed out before we could get out of our mouths, I just wanted to pass on some good news to the Tide fans about Jalen Hurts. The Eagles today gave him a 5-year extension on his contract that's worth $255 million and guarantee $179 million with no trade clause. Congratulations on that. That makes him the highest paid player in NFL history. Hey, congratulations to Jalen.
I'm ready to see. You know, he's very big on charity and giving back to the communities, man. So, Katy, Texas, we probably gonna see another crazy stadium built in the state of Texas for his high school. You know, I'm ready to see what that entails as far as recruiting for Alabama. A lot of high school players, high school quarterbacks who have watched Jalen Hurts' career, who were able to grow up and have become quarterbacks because of Jalen Hurts, have paid attention to his path, and they're going to take advantage of that, and probably it's going to model the way for a lot of future quarterbacks to come. And you know, with him endorsing Alabama the way he does, that's good for us. You know, even though he's not at Bama anymore, even though he left Bama and all that good stuff, that's good for us on that end of things. But definitely good for him and his family. You know, he's always been a stand-up guy. I think Jalen Hurts probably one of the few quarterbacks to come through college football. Him, Tua, and Bryce. You know, recent quarterbacks that came through with no drama. You know, no business, no nothing. You know, even Mac Jones had the little DUI thing when he got on campus. But you know, Tua, Jalen, and Bryce were 3 stand-up guys. So when you see them get rewarded like this on the next level, it's definitely good to hear, especially as a fan.
I couldn't agree more. And what a better message, like you said, to send to the youth. And speaking of Alabama right now, he is actually working with Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe actually reached out to him and has been picking his brain. That's the right guy you want to go to. Nobody
Right.
understands hard times better than Jalen Hurts. Nobody understands submitting yourself to the process, humbling yourself to the lowest level in order to reap a big benefit at the end. And I couldn't help but think when things just weren't quite going Jalen's way back in 2017 when he was benched in favor of Tua, and he rode the bench the majority of 2018 and came in at times and excelled and had some very good moments. You knew that his story was not over, that something
Right.
here was on the horizon. And I think that really came to culmination when he came in relief for Tua in the SEC championship game and led us to that incredible comeback. And that was just a glimpse of what we've seen pan out in terms of his NFL career. What a phenomenal second season by Jalen, getting the Eagles to a Super Bowl, who literally carried the team on his back in the Super Bowl when the defense was not exactly holding up to their end of the bargain.
Right.
They lost, but it wasn't because of anything Jalen.
It wasn't because of Jalen, and that's I think that was one of the main storylines with Jalen. You know, both big national title games where he was the starting quarterback. It was neither one of those big games were lost at his hands. You know, Clemson game, he didn't have the ball last. You know, I believe if we had the ball last with Jalen, we go down and we win. You know, and then the Super Bowl just didn't have the ball last. So it's just one of those things where you like, man, this guy is a winner by nature. He's a winner by trait, character. Like Roll Tide says, just a stand-up guy. You know, and you know, we like to look at things and say everything and everybody has their flaws. And Jalen Hurts, his flaws were on the field where that's the only flaws we can really pick on him. The flaws of not being able to be a passer and this, all that. And he worked on those things. He never allowed his personal life leak over into his professional. And that's what I admire about him. And same thing with Bryce, man. You know, even with all the NIL allegations, how open the NIL is and things of that nature. You know, those type of guys usually last long, have long careers, and are able to affect the overall change in, you know, outlook or I guess you could say perception of the game and how the game is approached for the younger generation. So I'm very proud of that, man. But yeah, man.
We even spoke about it, and we'll get to our main topics here in just a second. We spoke about it before we got on, the fact that maybe for these young guys that their social media needs to be regulated, because as we talked, as soon as something's not going right, or there's some kind of drama, they don't keep quiet. They go right to Twitter or some form of social media, and they're going to be posting it. And usually it's in the form of a cryptic tweet or cryptic message. Subliminals, which is so 15-year-old high school
Right.
girl. Jalen Hurts never did that. He never once complained about his situation. It kind of reminded me of back in the day, and I'm dating myself here, Andrew Zal, with all the controversy between him and Tyler Watts.
Yeah, Tyler Watts.
When he was benched in favor of Tyler, you didn't hear him complain at all. He was the head cheerleader on the sideline, getting his team rolling. When his number is called upon, he got us to victories, got us to that Iron Bowl win, the upset win, got us to that win against Southern Miss in a tornado, and ultimately the Independence Bowl. Greatly resembles what we saw from Jalen Hurts. But yeah, you never saw him complain. He just went about his business. And I think he understood that no right then didn't mean no, not ever. It meant not right now. And his right now has arrived, and we're just in year 2. So the sky's the limit with him. Congratulations again to Jalen Hurts. We're really excited here at Bama Nation and the Bama Standard post-game show.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, Roll Tide 65, very self-aware, use his strengths to improve weaknesses that can be attributed to his parents.
Yeah.
Couldn't ask for better parents. Stand up. Just it's what you want. Football mom, football dad. Dad's a coach. He understands the game.
Discipline
is to go with that. Okay. It's time to get into
it,
now,
man. Let's get to it.
Yes,
I'm over
I
here
know,
itching.
fans, that you are watching. Y'all are wanting to hear about spring practice, but listen, we got a little bit of news before that. Yesterday, you probably were in church, right?
Hopefully.
Right, church. 4-star wide receiver Rico Scott committed to Alabama. Coach, we got us a ball player on our hands. I think he's a second player from the 22 class to commit, but
20 was that 20? Is it
2024
24?
class
Yeah.
from McDevitt High School, and that's located in Pennsylvania. If you want an immediate comp right now, a lot of the experts are comparing him to a Debo Samuel. If you see his picture, there are no lies detected. But I'm going to turn it over to you, Coach Smoot, to tell the Bama fans exactly what they're getting with this guy and why they should be excited, and why Julian Sand has pretty much inked his next Heisman Trophy deal with the signing of this young man.
So let's just look at the measurables. You got the 6 foot 185. This guy can play the slot or the perimeter. Like that's like the perfect size for both of those positions in the style of offense that you have at Alabama, especially under Tommy Rees. The guy's a 4.43 guy. I mean that's a clock 4.43. Usually when you're running a 4.43 time, game speed is usually like you know what I'm saying? Like you're blazing in game speed. So you're looking at possibly like you said, another Debo Samuels type guy, because everybody knows Debo Samuels has the wheels. 6 foot 185 as a junior going into his senior year. That's scary. You talking about development and growth and filling out a frame. This young man is 16. I think he may have just turned 17, if I'm not mistaken. May have just turned 17. So he has maybe one more major growth spurt before his body starts to settle and before he could start filling out. So the measurables are there. Now you look at the highlight film and you look at some of the games that he was featured in last year. You look at the 707 highlights and things that he's been featured in on some of these other channels, and the kid has everything you want from a guy. I mean, I thought I was happy about Perry Thomas, the other wide receiver commit we have in that class. I thought I was happy about 6'4". He's 190, second coming to Julio. But honestly, if Rico Scott gets on campus and Perry Thomas doesn't enroll early, which he plans to, Perry Thomas plans to enroll early. That's everybody's talk. If we can get Rico Clark early, I feel like he'll have immediate impact like Justin Haynes in that wide receiver room. Because I don't think we're going to have Malik Benson for 2 years.
No.
Ja'Cory Brooks is leaving this year. Jermaine Burton's leaving. I think Isaiah Bonds will solidify. I think all three of those guys that we're hype about, Bonds, Law, and Prentice, will all solidify themselves. It's about who'll be that fourth guy, who'll be the Mechie for that group when they're the three horsemen, who'll be the Mechie for this group. So you don't have much separation as far as the measurables with Rico Scott and Perry Thomas, other than the speed, because Rico Scott is a legit 4.3 guy. I believe honestly, they said 4.43. I think he's a 4.35, 4.36 guy, and he's a junior. We got to remember he's a junior. All these statistics and things are measurables of his junior year, where he finished his junior year and we've seen guys grow their senior year. But you look at how he attacks the ball in the air with his hands. He's not an arm catcher. He's a hand catcher. He has second gear breakaway speed in the open field. This guy, he can beat a guy on a post, but at the same time, he could break down on the hitch and break away from you out of the catch and break. So I love that about him. And his quick release off of the ball is just I don't see that a lot in high school players, receivers. I see a lot of dancing, but I don't see guys release to attack the coverage or attack the pressure that's being applied. And his ability to separate from it is just amazing. So that I don't have any. I think probably the only con is probably going to see how that ability has tested on the next level when you're applying the next level concepts to your offensive scheme, learning schemes and different concepts on how to adjust to mixed coverages or dual coverages, or seeing being able to audible on the fly, seeing the same thing as the quarterback. So those are the only cons I see coming from this guy. To me, he's the Caleb Downs of this recruiting class.
Oh, wow.
Because and I know we haven't seen Caleb Downs on the field yet, but trust me, chat, Caleb Downs is that dude. Just like we knew Otis was that dude last year, Caleb Downs is the dude this year. And I believe Rico Scott is going to be the dude for the 24 class. And I'm telling you, it's literally because the measurables are there, the skill is there, the athletic ability is there, the ability to grasp concept is going to be this guy's only challenge. And he seems like he's a student of the book. The guy's at 3.7 GPA right now. So I mean, he's not an athlete. He's a student athlete.
Yeah.
And the school he's at, a very not prestigious, but it's a very well respected academic program. Like I said, I do my research when these guys' names comes up. And Rico Clark was one of the guys after we signed Perry Thomas. I said if we could snatch Rico, and I keep calling him Rico Clark for some reason, Rico Scott. he was one of those guys. If we could snatch him, if I knew we could snatch him and Perry Thomas, we might see another coming of another phase of the three horsemen with the follow-up, type deal. And we won't have to go in the transfer portal to get a Jameson Williams or anything like that in the next few years, because guys like Perry Thomas and the freshman that just came in this year, I forget the boy's name. Not Hurley. That's the DB. I forget the guy's name. Not Jaleel Hurley.
Help him out, chat.
Chat. What's the wide receiver's name, chat? We just signed him this year. But he has a chance to start being that fourth guy for Kendrick Law and them. But if he doesn't take it, Jalen Hale?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. That's the guy. 6'1", 6'2" guy?
Yes.
Yeah, the long guy. That's the one I think he might be able to sneak into that 5, maybe the 5th or 6th guy in the wide receiver rotation if Preston and somehow Preston doesn't get a look, and somehow Emmanuel Henderson doesn't get a look. I feel like Hale can be that 6th guy, but this guy Rico Scott, man, he's legit. Trust me, chat. I'm telling you.
And in case anybody is wondering, Rico Scott actually chose us over Georgia, Coach Prime in Colorado, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and his home state school, Penn State. I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he may be, if I had to compare him to a current roster member, he may be another Kendrick Law type.
A bigger Kendrick Law.
A bigger
faster Kendrick Law. Because Kendrick Law, I think Kendrick Law is legit 5'10". I think he's legit 5'10", 5'9". But he's so stocky and bouldery, man. It's like having a cock diesel Jalen Waddle out there without the speed. You know what I'm saying? Like he's that small guy. And Law's not slow though. I'm not calling him slow. He's just not burner speed. Kendrick Law is
doesn't have to be effective. His skill set allows him to excel at what he does, and the fact that he can be a switchblade. Yeah, he is an enforcer, and we can talk about that because he was that during the second scrimmage. So, yeah, and like you said, man, this kid has another year to put on some more muscle, and then when he gets to Alabama, he's with that strength conditioning staff. I say by the time he leaves, he's going to be 210, 220 easily. Maybe.
Coolio came to Bama at 190. He came to Bama at 190. When he graduated, I think he was at 215 or 217 when he entered the draft. And I think the biggest Julio got was 225. He walks around probably at 220 now, 215, 220 now. So, I mean, a guy like Rico Scott, junior year, I feel like he might hit 6'2", man, when he stops growing. Because he has a 6'5" wingspan right now at 6 foot. Like you
can do a lot with that in traffic.
That's what I'm saying. But his torso is like Steve Smith type, like Deebo Samuel, Steve Smith type torso. So he has to, like, you have the feeling that he's going to grow into that. His torso is going to grow into the length of those arms. He's equally proportioned with his build, man. And it's like I'm a physique guy when it comes to wide receivers. So I compare him, like I said, to like a Steve Smith, Deebo Samuels type build, but he has a little bit more height. And I feel like he's a lot faster than Smith, because Steve Smith was a 4.5 guy. Everybody knew that, you know. But you mess around and you have to stick Rico Scott in the slot. That's a dangerous lineup. You know, if you got another 4-4 guy on the outside, or a burner on the outside like a J-Mo that could play the Z, and you put a Rico Scott at the slot, man, that's a crazy lineup. You Perry Thomas and Rico Scott on the same side, that might be what we be looking at in the next 2 years.
Right out. Like I said, Julian Sam is licking his chops right now. For good reason.
I wonder if he's behind the scene working this thing, because I didn't think we would get both of these guys this early.
Listen, man, what I am learning now is the coaches really don't have to do very much recruiting with these kids, this generation, because they're out recruiting each other.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that Sterling Dixon was talking about this past week when he was on our show, 4-star linebacker from this class, was that his job is done. He's made his commitment. He doesn't have to hear from anybody else, and he doesn't have to think about, decommitting. His goal right now is to bring others with him.
Yeah, and if you go back, that's what happened with Tua's class. Those guys had been talking for months, man. And you mean like they weren't even doing what these kids are doing now. They were just seeing each other at the like traditional camps. 7-on-7 passing camps and teams and travel teams was not hype in 2017. So that just goes to show you how quick the game is changing when it comes to recruiting. You get a lot of these coaches, these colleges are getting smart. They're looking at YouTube. They're watching these guys that's sponsoring these teams, these YouTubers that were football players that are going out and getting back, and they're finding these kids. They're seeing what these kids are being attracted to, and they're scouting these levels, and they're coming away with some nice grabs. It was a guy, one of my friends, man. His son plays in the I want to say Westlake High School in Atlanta, Georgia. It's like right outside Atlanta. And he's a sophomore this year. Well, he's going into his junior year. He just came from a visit from Miami. The boy is 6'4", 210, going into his junior year.
Dang, dude.
Playing wide receiver.
These kids.
Kirby Smart is talking to this boy. I've tagged this guy at I've tweeted him at Alabama football multiple times, because I know they use, if you could get them responding, that kid might get a look. And my bro hit me up last night. He was like, "Hey, I don't know what type of prayers we praying, but looks like we might be visiting Bama, in July. And look out for him, guys. Travis Smith, what's their last name? Travis Smith Jr. Travis Smith Jr. I think he's 6'3", 6'4", 195, 200 pounds. And the boy is solid. Class of 2025. But he's in the 707 circuit, OT7 and all those different circuits. And that's what's got him exposure. He couldn't make it to a North Carolina camp or a UGA camp or Georgia Tech camp. He couldn't make it to all those camps while he was playing basketball. So these leagues, it's creating a different dynamic.
Yeah, they're very instrumental now in getting these kids looks. You don't really have to do all the traveling like you said, like back in the 90s, 2000s, 2010s. You can be on blast doing that. I mean, that's where some people really make their name. So yeah, absolutely right on that. So you got 7-on-7, and then you got the kids doing recruiting themselves. I mean, what are the coaches doing? They're just sitting back and just waiting for them to come in their office now. It sure feels that way. Hey, but I like that. If that's what gets the players in, I'm all for it. I'm here to see the results and reap the rewards. Before we hop to the next subject, which is going to be nothing but scrimmage and a lot of development news, I want to remind everybody, next week, next Tuesday, the 25th, the Bama Standard will be live on location from the Paul Bryant Museum. You definitely want to come by for that. We are celebrating NFL Draft Week. We're going to be looking ahead to Bama players in this draft, and we're going to be joined by several former players, including Christian Miller. So if you're in the Tuscaloosa area, drop by the Paul Bryant Museum to see us. Get there early, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be a packed house. But, Coach, second scrimmage, Saturday, and I watched a little bit of the post scrimmage press conference from Nick Saban. I don't know if you were able to really look at that, but I heard what Saban said to the media, but I also heard what was not being said. And I felt like by his demeanor, he was very frustrated. There's a lot of things that he just wasn't happy with. He mentioned that a lot of guys weren't doing their job and that the focus needed to be placed more on that. He said the good was great, but he kind of stopped himself before he could kind of go at a greater length explaining what the bad meant. Because he's a guy that is going to tell you just enough or tell the media just enough to fulfill his duty, right? Because he's a psychological guy and he's not going to put all his cards out there. But you can tell there was some frustration going in to that or leaving that game and going into A-Day. Coach, before we kind of break it all down, do you feel like there's any need or need to be concerned about this type of demeanor coming into the press conference?
I don't think so. I think that's a good sign because last year this time I felt like it was too many good things being said about what was happening, and to come out of the season that we had 2021 to 22, I don't think that it had us hyped. So 22 to 23 this past season, all the positive stuff, we was like, okay, maybe they did fix all of it. And we come back out and nothing changed. So now that Saban is coming out and he has things that he's clearly addressing, there were big moves, key moves that were made in the coaching staff for key positions that we knew needed to see improvement in order for our team to be establish themselves at the Bama standard that we know them for. You also saw Coach T-Rob get to take over the secondary fully, Robert Bala in the linebacker room. And Saban didn't complain about certain areas, but that, to me, if the type of gratitude and the type of recognition that these worry areas were getting before this last scrimmage, that gave me confidence that then turn around and Saban have some like frustrations, because that means they've shown him the level that they can perform at, and they didn't show up at the scrimmage. So to me, they didn't show up for a scrimmage. Now Saban has the chance to check them on that. Just let them know, hey, that's not how Bama stand. Don't think because you getting this recognition in week 1, first scrimmage, that is going to carry over to week 2. So now coming into A-Day, we're going to get another product, another level of product from these players, knowing that this is what coach is frustrated about. This is what the media is feeling about us. Now that we're in front of everybody where they can see us, what type of product am I going to put out there? And then also we know that we got to do this every day, because coach he don't care about what you do on Saturday. You got to do it during the week. So that's the way I'm looking at it. I like it. I'm glad that there's a lot of inconsistency with Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson. I'm glad to hear that wide receivers are making big plays, and some of the DBs are making big plays. But when they're making bad plays, the bad plays are big bad plays. They're catastrophic. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that the defensive line is causing disruption in the backfield on the run game. I'm glad to hear that the offensive line has great pass protection right now in the scrimmage. So, these things that we were worried about are being addressed. But the things that were just getting too much icing and too much sugarcoat last season, I feel like if those things have been improved and they didn't show up this past week, I feel like we're going to get a chance to see a better product going into A-Day.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and address the quarterback situation. I mean, that's what everybody is hungry for. That's what they're tuning in to every YouTube video and whatever pundit releases some kind of press clipping about. Right now, the offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees, and his cohorts have a decision to make. What kind of offense do they want to run? Is it going to be a run-based offense where it caters more towards Jalen Milroe's skill set? Or is it going to be a more balanced approach, which will cater to Ty Simpson? That's a decision they're going to have to make. I think the ultimate answer comes down to, out of the two quarterbacks right now, who are they most confident in? Where is the trust factor with these two gentlemen? One thing you just mentioned, Coach, was there's a lot of inconsistencies. Yes, Brock, I'm hearing we're in trouble with these two quarterbacks. I wouldn't say trouble. I don't think there's anything catastrophic. I think there's inconsistencies right now. You got changing the guard with Tommy Reese, somebody that is having to kind of start over with Jalen Milroe, kind of undo what was done or really not done with our previous offense coordinator, Bill O'Brien. And then you got the young nature of Ty Simpson in play, where he's going to have his growing pains. And I will say, from what I'm being told, Coach, Ty Simpson, when he looks good, he's phenomenal. He's a gunslinger. He's a Brett Favre type. He's being compared to Tua Tagovailoa and his throwing style and his anticipation. He gets the ball out fast. He throws wide receivers open. That ball is already in the air when they're in mid route. They hadn't completed their route, and by the time they're at the top of that route, that ball is in their hands. That's something to get excited about in terms of what Ty Simpson can do. Don't let discount what Jalen Milroe can do. Yes, he's had some issues. Well, we have seen the good. Of course, one of those good opportunities we had a chance to witness was the viral video to Ja'Cory Brooks, an excellent touch pass. And what I am hearing too, although he's had some struggles, he's also cleaned up a lot of things too. He's reading the ball better. He's getting better at those intermediate routes. Still needs to kind of work on his touch in terms of the deep ball and still holding the ball a little bit too long. But it's not something that's going to be catastrophic to where we can't use him. So I'm going to turn this over to you and get your impression of where we are in terms of quarterback. And if you can, kind of calm down some of the worry that's going on, because up until this past week, we were hearing nothing but high praise for each guy. It's neck and neck. They're both showing out. And then some analysts start coming out that these guys are wildly inconsistent. Of course, that may just be to draw in engagement and clickbait, because the 8A game's here and we need some more drama. Before I turn it over real quick, Tim Lovett got a super chat. What the hell happened with Jones Bell? Just wondering. And if the front seven still can't get off blocks and dominate, we could easily lose 3 games this year. O-line as well.
I got you.
Those are 3 things we can talk about tonight in our next topics. But yeah, he's jumping ahead. But yeah, thank you, Tim. We appreciate that. And we'll get to we'll get to those sentiments. Coach, go ahead about the quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks. I'm gonna read my statement, my original statement when we were ending the season this past season, of our early take on Ty Simpson and Jalen Milroe. I said my pros and cons on Ty Simpson. His pros: legit arm talent and has deceptive athleticism. Simpson can benefit from sitting another year and developing based on his spring development. I said this. I wish we can go back and find the show with the exact clip. I said Simpson has mentally, offensive-wise, the mindset of Mac Jones. My only concern would be his ability to extend plays at the college level. And I had that legit concern. You look at the level of competition that Simpson played in high school, we all know that's not what you're going to get in the SEC. Mm-hmm. You look at what Jalen Milroe played against in high school in Katy, Texas. We already know what type of football you get in at just about any level in Texas. So that I wasn't discrediting him only for that, but I was looking at what Jalen Milroe was able to do. Jalen Milroe has proven that he can be a winner. You know, he makes mistakes, but he's proven that he could be a winner. And also when he's comfortable, he can be successful. But as a quarterback, 50 to 60% of the game, you're not comfortable. You know, especially early the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season, offensive line gelling, not seeing, the same guys you've been practicing against for the 4 days a week for the past 6-8 months, however long, is game time those 3 or 4 weeks. And I feel like based off of what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing in the clips and just our reliable sources, the way they talk about the development of both quarterbacks, not what they're doing as far as throwing and what type of height, but the development, footwork, being able to read, timing. We saw early flashes of great timing with Ty Simpson in 8A last year. We didn't see anything great or spectacular or jaw-dropping from Ty Simpson, but timing was one of the things that we noticed quick. He was not scared to put the ball where it's supposed to be based off of the concept, making the first read. Now, what we did see last year, was his inability to go past the first read.
Right.
Trusted to go past this to go into the second and third read without taking his eyes from downfield. Even when you're climbing the pocket, great footwork, but you got to keep your eyes downfield, trust your protection, those type of things. So if the development, like my statement said, if he's developed in the spring, like I'm hearing, Ty Simpson is the guy. Because there's no reason to just discount. The only advantage I gave Jalen Milroe over Ty Simpson was experience and the athleticism. That was it. The arm talent, there's no great difference because I feel like Simpson has the great arm talent. Simpson has the arm talent. He has deceptive athleticism also. He's not going to burn you. He's not going to break away for a 30-yard run or a 70-yard breakaway scramble like Jalen Milroe, but I believe he could outrun majority of defensive tackles and defensive ends in the SEC. I feel like he can extend the play enough to roll out and make the passes. And so, based off what I'm seeing, I'm ready to see it come to full fruition Saturday, and A-Day next week. That's this week, right? It's Saturday,
It's Saturday, yeah.
So I'm ready for it to come to full fruition, and I'm ready to bite my own words because I thought Milroe would get in and grind, and maybe he just had a bad scrimmage. Maybe Milroe had a bad scrimmage because it's been days last week, leading up to the scrimmage where 2 days Milroe was locked in and Simpson was inconsistent.
Right.
But maybe Simpson just sold up Saturday, Milroe didn't, or maybe just the defense was on one this week and the offense wasn't. Because like you said in the beginning, Justin, Saban's press conference didn't give me any inclination that either side dominated. So that's good news for me. That's good. That means guys are out there competing. The level of talent is being displayed. Guys are really working. They're not hoping that their talent is what's carrying them. They're actually working, competing. So you're getting chances and opportunities to make the other 5-star across from you look like he's not doing his job. So when you have that type of competition in the Alabama program, it's a good thing. So exactly, Eric. And like I said, I really believe Ty Simpson is a quarterback. I feel like Jalen Milroe is your athletic.
Yeah.
He's your athlete. He's your athlete that can throw the ball. But Ty Simpson is a quarterback. Jalen Milroe, if he doesn't make it as a quarterback, he can learn wide receiver or running back or go play corner. He has the athleticism to do that. Ty Simpson knows he's not that athlete. He can't go play slot receiver or tight end and be effective or get a roster spot. So that's I feel like that's why his focus may be a little bit more and his attention to detail, and that's what's helping them pull away right now in the QB race. But we have a couple takes from some of our other panelists on the show that I think you fans are going to like later on about this QB situation. I'm not going to release any of them, but I feel like you guys are going to like it when it comes to Milroe and Ty Simpson and their future and what's going to be the determining factor of who gets the starting job this next season coming up.
Yeah, you mentioned a very important factor is we need to take emotion out of it, and football is a game that can go up and down.
Right.
You're going to have, like Eric said, those days where you're on point, you're boxing, you're sparring, and you're just lighting it up in the ring. And then you're going to have some days where you just aren't connecting. You're not moving quite as fast. There's just some kind of factor that kind of limits you. But one of the things that Coach Saban did say that kind of puts it in perspective, it's really hard to gauge how good or bad you are when you're playing against yourself. You really can't get a true measuring stick unless you're playing against another team. And as far as the quarterbacks go, no, we're not naming who the starter is at this point. We're just kind of giving you a rundown of what their positives are and what they can bring to the team in terms of their ability. And honestly, like Tim Ferriss says, that I think this battle is going to go into a later part of the fall, and maybe the best guy win. Guys, listen, please do us all a favor. Don't go into the spring game and think whatever the outcome is that day of what particular quarterback you see ultimately makes the determining decision. It's not. We're not going to know the actual de facto answer, I say, until week 2 against Texas. I feel that we're going to see both guys play week 1. Coach Mook, you feel differently, but either way,
not even that, man. I just
going to be named in the fall.
And I'm with you, Justin. I feel like week 1 there will be a starter name, but we won't have a starter until Texas. after Texas game. That's when we'll know who our starter is. And that's that's even in a scenario where Jalen Milroe is your game one starter, right? And he struggles. Simpson comes in. We win, but Simpson gets snaps. You know, he gets snaps, and it's not like a thing where Milroe solidified. You know, and let's say Texas comes into town the week after, you got Simpson getting the start. If Simpson blows his chance right there in the first half of that game, or he somehow forces the coach's hand to let Jalen get a spot, and we win, no matter how we win, Jalen Milroe will be the quarterback for the rest of the season until he's pulled or injured. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how it's going to be. But I feel like based off of what I'm seeing, man, and not just what I'm hearing, but what I'm seeing, I feel like if Simpson doesn't somehow become consistent, good Simpson. I mean, not good Simpson, but good Milroe. If Milroe doesn't find a way to be consistent, Milroe, then it's not going to look good for him as far as being the starter. Now, will he get pushed out the door and not be used? I don't think so. Tommy Rees is, and I think that's one thing that Saban respects about him. He's real big on using all his assets. You go watch Notre Dame last year. He used all his assets. As the injuries start to pile up, he continued to use depth. So, yeah, I also was not opposed to seeing Coach use 2 QBs either. I don't think that'll happen. Coach Saban has always been opposed to that. He's always been big on establishing your leader, your guy early in the season, which is why you saw the fiasco with Coker and Bateman that year.
Oh,
well, not
Bateman, yeah,
because Blake Sims had already earned the team. The team was behind Blake, you know. So and that's why I think Coker learned that more than anything. So when he was put to test, he didn't change anything that he was doing in practice. He just kept coming and working hard. And when he came in the Ole Miss game, the team was behind him, you know. And that's another thing with these guys that gives me confidence. The team is behind both of these guys. You could see guys you can see the clips. Wide receivers are not running routes differently for Simpson like they are for Milroe. These guys are Tommy Rees. I feel like Tommy Rees is doing a good job of setting up the platform to where each guy is given the same amount of opportunities or the same type of look, not based off of their skill set, but what's needed for the team. I don't think Tommy Rees is even going to gamble to say, I want to do this for Milroe and I want to do this for Simpson. I think Tommy Rees has a package to where the quarterbacks can fit it. You know what I'm saying? Like he has enough adjustments to where it fits the style needed for the team to be effective. And that's gonna ultimately come down. What do we want to be? What is our offensive identity want to be? That's who the quarterback is going to be, you know. Yeah. And like I don't agree with the necessarily run based. I say play action style more for Milroe, keeping them off platform is his strong suit. Or do we want to be able to stay in the pro style offense that, you know, has been effective for Alabama for the past, you know, you get what I'm saying?
For us.
Yeah.
And whoever the quarterback is going to be, he's going to get a lot of help from this wide receiver group. This is a different generation. We're going to get back to what we're used to, like the right outs. But these guys are calling themselves something different. They call themselves the Killer Bees.
Yeah.
That's Isaiah Bond, Ja'Cory Brooks, Jermaine Burton, and Malik Benson. Malik Benson has been the breath of fresh air in spring right now. He's that Jameson Williams that we so desperately needed this past year, guy that is going to take the top off the defense. But it's not just going to be the Malik Benson show. These wide receivers as a whole are just showing out. Isaiah Bond did some insane, sick things this past Saturday, made some DBs look bad. And these aren't scrub DBs. These are first teamers. Mossed a few guys. Kendrick Law, we talked about him earlier. My gosh, he's just a muscle with a helmet on. He caught the ball between two defenders, and the impact was so great that he sent them both to their ass simultaneously. I love this kid. I love the physical, tough wide receiver that can be used in a multitude of ways. And also, they're unselfish. That's the biggest thing that's been communicated. They are elite at what they do in terms of catching the ball, their speed, their athleticism. but they're also elite as blockers and as decoys and being willing to do whatever is asked of them to ensure the success of the team. Coach, I know that you are a wide receiver guy, so it's time to let loose, man. What do you feel about this wide receiver group?
All right, first let me get to my most hated, and I ain't gonna say most hated. My most, I want to say my most disappointed. Jermaine Burton. I've been getting nothing but good news about this guy, and I ain't talking about from the media. I'm talking about from our people, you know. And last year when we came into the season, and I was telling y'all the route running, he looks cute on routes, but the guy hasn't been showing up, and then he came and proved us right throughout the season until Auburn game basically. So I think that the way he finished last year, when I still wasn't giving him love, but he was actually producing and actually showing us a little something. I think he's carrying on that momentum based off of what I'm hearing, guys, and he's stepping into this leadership role not based off of being in college for 3 years already. He's actually knowing what's expected at Alabama, what's the culture, what his role as a leader, is being entailed, and Ja'Cory Brooks has a lot to do with that, and Malik Benson coming over from JUCO and just saying he's ready to work. He's not trying to be in charge. He doesn't want to. He wants to work. He wants to win. So you got 3 older guys, a JUCO transfer. You got 2 seniors in Brooks and Burton that are really able to keep that balance in the room. And then you got the young guys, the freshmen, the now sophomores, that trio of guys. I say a foursome of guys because Preston was hurt last year. Like, I think people forget we still got Preston sitting back there, just got a whole year to recover. So, but you got Prentice, you got Law, you got Bonds, you got Preston. Those guys pushing for time. The wide receiver room is deep. Emmanuel Henderson, he's going to find his way on the field, and I really feel like we're going to use Emmanuel Henderson in the jet sweep game, and a lot of that motion look from the slot because of his running back ability. His ability. People forget he was, I think, was he number 6 running back in this classified number 6 or number 8 or something like that. So
it's in that range.
Yeah. So I mean, you got a guy that's Coach Saban pushing him out the wide receiver, and he's running with second group consistently, not third group, but like he's the 7th receiver in the rotation. So that's good to know that we're that deep, and guys that are not getting the recognition or getting the hype right now, we know their ability because we got to see it early. But I did hear Kobe Prentice had a rough scrimmage this past week. He made a few early plays, but I think he had like 4 drops back to back. One of them was like an easy drop. He just took his off the ball. And like you said, we were saying early, some days you just have a day where if you miss a play, you try so hard to make up that you're moving too fast and you're not using your fundamentals. So wide receiver room looking good, man. We got the speed element back. And like I said, don't count out freshman Jalen Hale also. I feel like he can sneak his way later in the season. Preferably no injuries happen, but you got guys like Jones Bells that send back, not making any type of impact, not making any noise. He could sneak in there because we seen Jones Bells touch the field a few times last year in garbage time. And, if he's not doing that to get on the field now, a guy like Jalen Hill can get in there and make some crazy in the game catch that gets some buzz, So
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it and be frank that if he hadn't done it by now, he ain't never gonna do it. I honestly feel like Jones Bell is the odd man out. He's been there long enough to show us something, and he hasn't. And I don't see any of these wide receivers taking a backseat to anyone. They're certainly not going to wait for the older guys to implement the Bama standard in their style of play. Matter of fact, Tommy Rees is not going to allow it. One of the most refreshing things that I have heard about Tommy Rees during this spring has been the fact that energy is there. He's getting into their face, grabbing their helmet, saying, "Do your effing job." He's not sitting back. He's not overwhelmed by the big job at Bama. This guy is here to win, and he's here to change the culture. And these guys are picking up on it, and it's showing. I'm serious, guys. This is a year where we see the young guys take over. It's going to be like the 2017 class. and we can't afford to not have them on the field. If we sit there and do what we've done these past couple of seasons, and let the lesser productive, less enthusiastic older guys start, we're going to have an issue. But if these guys come out and allowed to do their thing, we're going to make a lot of folks eat their words, and a lot of them are going to be wearing red and white or black and white.
Yeah, man.
Black and red.
And to answer Michael Williams' question about how would I grade the route running, Jermaine Burton, Ja'Cory Brooks, Malik Benson, those guys have never had an issue with their route running. Ja'Cory Brooks' ability to create separation in his route running is been my issue with him. But I feel like the style of the scheme that he was in didn't fit his strengths also, because when there were plays designed where you have crosses underneath Ja'Cory Brooks' route where he's able to just work one-on-one or not have to read two zones, like a double zone read. He excelled at it. And he's a possession receiver. So the route running across the board, those young guys, they didn't have issues running routes. we saw Kendrick Law shaking. I mean, breaking dudes off and not getting looked at, and we talked about that about Bryce looking Kendrick Law off a couple times, Kansas State game. So I think we're good in that department. I want to see the breakaway, the separation. Once the season starts, I don't think we're going to see a lot of separation. I think we might see a few plays because, first group, second group, things just happen with the mental side in scrimmages. But game side, when it's game time, the mentality is different. So you approach it differently. So I think we're pretty set with the wide receiver group. And I think with Tommy Rees and the scheme that we're going to be implementing, route running is the least of our worries. I'm more worried about who and how we're going to get these guys on the field to keep them engaged so we can, maximize what we have, because we have so much and you don't want people to sit. But it's only so many people going to get snaps, man. You only can play 11 at a time. And so.
And Tim Lovett actually touches on one of the talking points you have tonight. I know we are running low on time, but the offensive line, Coach, you wanted to speak on that. And I will say, everything I'm being told in terms of scrimmage and practices, this is going to be one of the most dominant units on Alabama's squad in 2023. We're not having an issue there. We're about to return to the Bama standard in terms of offensive line play. You can thank Eric Wolford for that. The only negative I heard was in the scrimmage, Seth McLaughlin had a couple of bad exchanges with Jalen Milroe. Listen, no need to get alarmed there. Seth has been A1 since day one. I think he's due for a couple of bad practices, and that can be forgotten about. But I don't see any issue coming out of this offensive line. I see nothing but pure and absolute dominance. You saw some guys that you really like. One of those is Alua Salanine. Hearing a lot of great things from him in practice, getting to the next level, being very physical, just downright nasty in terms of the run blocking. Can work a little bit on his pass protection, but I think he's going to be all right. Coach, go ahead and speak on that line.
So real quick, I'm just hearing the competition at left guard is pretty good with Dallencourt being the front guy at left guard. That's different. We always saw Dallencourt at center. He's been at center since Bama. But I'm ready to see a bigger body at that left guard. Being that Latham is going to be that left tackle. I think that's solid for us. Booker being the right guard. I wish we can get Booker out at tackle. I feel like he could play tackle with his mobility, the pull, sealing the edge. And I feel like but we got those two freshmen, Elanine and Proctor sitting right there at their right tackle position behind Elijah Pritchett. Which is crazy to me because we had a lot of high hopes on Pritchett too. So we all know at Alabama, when you play offensive line, you're not subject to playing one position. So yep. I do want to see if I can get a little bit more insight of how the rotations are. But from what I'm hearing, like you, man, the first group with the 6-man rotation that they have right now, Dallencourt and I think it was Dallencourt and Ferguson are kind of flip-flopping. or those 3 guards are kind of rotating those spots. The 6-man rotation where it's solid, I think that's pretty good. And you talk about a stable of running backs that we're going to have to use, that's good hearing that. And knowing that, the 6 guys that are being rotated are experienced guys, the amount of talent that's behind them, it's just a bright future, man. So I'm excited about it. I think, and the D line, we already know what's about to happen over there.
Pure chaos.
This D line, oh my God,
they're about to unleash hell. James Smith is one of the guys who are going to be leading the way alongside Jaheim Otis. And right behind them, I'm hearing a lot of praise right now for Treasure Marshall.
Marshall is crazy.
Justin Jefferson as well.
For real?
Yes.
I heard the pop.
He's doing some things, and he may be in a starting line rotation.
Man, so Justin Jefferson, headhunter. That the guy. He's 218 right now, which is the only downfall for him right now.
He's actually put on some weight. So
that's
the
report
good.
the report from this last so because when we announced that he was 210, a 210 linebacker, wasn't it? He wasn't over 2. So you're putting on weight. You got the whole offseason to actually pack on. Maybe he probably get another 10 pounds before August, actual good weight, that he won't lose a step. Because the thing is, he has the lateral speed, man. He's a fast linebacker. He's actually DeMarco Hellams. If you want to be honest, he's a tall, wider frame DeMarco Hellams. And he can't cover, but he can track left and right lateral. And you line them up, you put them in a rotation. You find a guy like Marshall, and you got Lawson, Campbell. We're deep. Murphy is too deep right now. So I'm ready. I'm excited to see what A-Day opens up and reveals to us on so many different levels. But two, if I had to pick the top 3 spots where I'm not worried for Alabama coming into the season, is going to be defensive line, offensive line, and running back.
I had an honorable mention there, tight ends. From what I heard from Coach Saban he's extremely pleased with that unit, especially CJ Dupree, who's coming in. He's a master of everything. He's not the most elite guy, but he's doing the work. He's working hard, and he's interchangeable, can play multiple positions. That's a group that Saban's really liking, and he mentioned Daniel Lewis Jr. He also mentioned Knee Black. So I think that is a very important part of the puzzle right there, because it wasn't that strong here as of late. With Latu. Nothing against Latu, to be honest with you. Like I've said before, Latu was not a true tight end coming into this offense. He was a linebacker. That's what he did. He was very green, and hey, he may end up developing into a great tight end at the next level. But that remains to be seen. These are true tight ends. These are guys that are good, and they're shown in practice.
But Justin, the only thing before you end it, the only thing I would say about the tight end group last year, I don't think they were given the opportunities to be tight ends.
That's true.
That's what I say, because the previous year, Latu was putting up OJ Howard, Irv Smith type numbers, and that was his first year as like a multi-purpose tight end, where he actually was in the passing game. He was implemented in the passing game, and that was his 3rd year playing tight end ever. So I just don't think it was enough confidence instilled in the tight end room. And we didn't even use Knee Black until the end of the year. Danny Lewis Jr. Robbie Oots showed that he had ball skills. And I think the fact that he's recovering from an injury this year, and we're seeing that we're going to have 4 solid tight ends.
Yeah.
That's Tommy Rees. That's the key to Tommy Rees and what he wants to run as his offense. He runs 3 tight end sets. So like I'm ready.
I agree. Robbie Oots was not utilized the way he should have been this past season. He finally is going to be with a guy that can utilize him the right way. I wouldn't be surprised if they utilize him in a way that Justin Fowler was.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a fullback dive this year.
Knee Black was just young, and he just would pick up on things at a quick rate, and that's just par for the course.
Right.
And Miles Kitzelman, he's not the most shiniest of the objects out there, because he doesn't do anything fancy. He's just one of those bring your lunch pail to work, blue collar guys out there who's going to do the stuff that isn't glamorous.
Right.
which is blocking. That's a big deal. Before we close it out, Coach, we got to talk about Justice Haynes. He's the love child of Najee Harris and Mark Ingram.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that Coach Saban was glaring about this past Saturday. Extremely excited. And the thing that was the most telling was if you lived underneath a rock and you just turned on Alabama football one day and you saw him, you'd swear he was a third-year guy. He came in 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He's on loan to Alabama from the NFL, and he is just making people look silly. And it's going to be very hard to not keep him off the field, right?
I mean,
there's going to be some decisions to be made in terms of this running back room, but Justice Haynes is going to be a major part of this offense, and he made Kendrick Blackshire look bad. Gave him one of those
my boy,
stiff arms
not
to
the man
the face.
child.
I was like, no, that's my guy. That's the guy I've been waiting to emerge.
But to his defense, it wasn't like a head up type junk. It was like a lateral. It was a lateral, like Kendrick Blackshire was, trying to grab the shoulder pad because they were running laterally, and it wasn't a Derrick Henry, what Derrick Henry did in the league type stiff arm. It was more of a like Blackshire was kind of diving and didn't want a horse collar, but it was the right angle. But he launched him. That was the thing. Like he was already off the ground, so he used that lack of momentum and used his momentum already running. Kind of. So that's what I'm hearing. It wasn't like he just muscled them, and they were joking about it in the locker room apparently. So it was one of those things where, but Justice Haynes, man, the clip when they were doing the running back drills where they were staying low around the cones, what I call them, low tunnel drills, I guess that's what they call them.
His feet.
And but the jump cut at the end, the hurdle with the cut at the end,
smooth.
The how light he was on his feet, the ability to control his body weight, have that body control, balance, body weight to know I'm jumping forward, over, down, push off. Like that requires core and body control, man. And to do that in pads, and you could tell they have been already doing their warm-ups. People think warming up in football is easy. Like to me, back then, warming up was the worst part of practice because you're gonna do about 15 slow things at a high rate. Like it's like you doing hard stuff slowly, so the coach can evaluate you and tell you how to do it. And it seems like you actually have to focus on using certain muscles to hold the posture and do do a foreign movement. It's just so much. So you can factor all that in and you look at how smooth that guy was moving, and then to hear what he's doing, go look at the highlight film. Go look at Justice Haynes' highlight film. He don't play in no soft league. This ain't Archie Manning Class A football. He plays legit Georgia football. He played legit Georgia football, man. And the kid, the build is there. The measurables are there, man. Like we said, I hate to say it, and I love Roydell Williams, but he's going to be the odd man out. He's going to be the odd man out. Week 5, week 6. I don't think Justice Haynes is going to get held out like Najee Harris did that one year. When Najee Harris really didn't get to blow up until the national championship. You remember that?
I do remember that.
I don't think that's going to happen to Justice Haynes because Jace and Jam are going to do their job. And Alabama, even last year, Roydell had third back type carries. He had third back type numbers. I mean, what else do you ask for as a third back? Jamari Miller, he's not a slouch. Jace McClellan is just that guy right now. He's proven himself the past 2 years. He got it 1 year cut short, and then last year he still, even with the injury in one game he had to miss or got cut short, he still was the guy with Jahmyr Gibbs being there. He was our rusher. Jace McClellan was our rusher.
Our workhorse.
Simple as that. So I'm excited, man. Justice Haynes is guys, do not be surprised if Justice Haynes comes out and gets 6 to 9 carries game 1. I mean game time carries too, Justin. Like,
I'm not gonna doubt that prediction at all. All right, folks, I got to remind everybody, if you're not yet seen on this channel, we have released a new episode of the Bama Standard, and it's featuring former Alabama defensive back and current star of NCIS Los Angeles. And you may have seen him in a movie called Woodlawn. Caleb Castile and his brother, Tim Castile. That's available right now on this channel. You definitely need to watch that. You will laugh hard, and also you get a lot of great knowledge. It was amazing learning the journey of both those young men. Castile, man, the first family of football. So definitely check that out. I've also uploaded what Coach Saban had to say about the tight end group. So you want to check that out. Doesn't last very long, only 59 seconds. So those of you who have short attention spans, this is in your wheelhouse. And we also released a great video, Coach Smook's in it, about how Alabama cannot waste time on these veterans. It's time to let the young guys do their thing. Well, it's time to move into our closing segment. Coach Smook, I'll go ahead and give the mic to you. If you will, tell the folks how they can find you on all your social media. And I fully expect everybody in this live chat to go to those places, hit that like and subscribe for him, and let him know the Bama Standard sent you. Go ahead, Coach.
We didn't do our comment segment, but I'm not gonna get on Crimson Tide Beast today, because he always do this to me at the end of the show. He always do this. Come in, look, Crimson. I gotta do it. I'm sorry, just Crimson. He won't get more than he won't see more than 10 carries in the first 4 weeks. That's just the nature of being at Alabama and the way this pecking order. And it's going to be because of how the schedule is set up too. We will have one true test in the first 4 weeks. And I don't even think Texas is going to be ready coming into Alabama this year, honestly, with the staff and everything that changes. So there won't be a reason to force Justin out there early in the season. Now, injury happened to Jace or Roydell or Jam, anybody in front of him, Justice is on the field. You know what I'm saying? So I don't disagree with you that he will see the field, but it won't be enough carries to go around. You know, they're going to want to make Ty Simpson or Jalen Monroe put the ball in the air week 1, 20 to 25 times. They're going to want to get 30 to 40 carries on the ground between 2 to 3 running backs. So I just don't see it happening for him just because of the nature of the way it's set up, the timing of things. But week 5, week 6, I don't even think an injury going to need to happen. I think he's going to be seeing 10 plus carries, especially if we're as balanced as I see us being. But back to how you can find me, Coach Smook on everything: TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, what else? YouTube. Officially a member of the Bama Standard panel. Shout out to my guy Justin for the opportunity. And so y'all be ready to catch some crazy content coming from us. We got a lot of plans in store, but definitely going to be pushing the Bama Standard. I'm leaving my independent thing alone for now. So anything Coach Smook related, Alabama football related, is going to be through the Bama Standard. So when you speak Coach Smook, you're speaking the Bama Standard outlet. All right. So definitely continue to show love to our channel, show love, drop your likes here. And we're going to continue to grow, man. And I really appreciate y'all for supporting us. We've come through a crazy transition. We're in the midst of a crazy transitional period, but we capitalizing on it, and it's because of you guys. So definitely continue to show love. I appreciate y'all. And that's where I'm coming from. Roll Tide.
All right. Few program notes. People don't leave just yet. We got to tell you what's coming up on this channel. It's a big week of things happening. Tomorrow night, the Bama Standard flagship show will be on air right here, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Our guest is going to be legendary basketball player Antoine Pettway, newly hired head coach of Kennesaw State Owls. Congratulations, Antoine Pettway. We're going to be talking about his career as a player, what he's done in terms of a coach at Alabama and beyond. So you definitely want to check that out. We will include football content, so please tune in. I don't want y'all to run away just because we got a basketball player. It's 8-day week.
Right.
And after that, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, the final whistle with Matt Caddell, Chris James, Dan James, and the newly hired Coach Smook. That's right. Coach Smook is on 2 shows on this channel. He is the hardest working man in podcasting. come check that out. We're going to be talking A-Day. There's a lot of things that we didn't talk about tonight. We actually held back because we're saving it for you tomorrow. Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Central, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, the developmental focus points with Bo Scarborough, Blake Sims, Christian Jones, and Trent Richardson. They're going to be talking about a very interesting subject about the effect that those side females have on players' focus and associating with the right crowd. I hope that came out right. I don't want any focus groups to cancel me, but it's about focusing on the right thing and not associating with the wrong, and also to be aware of what people's intentions are when it comes to associating with you, because you're a big man in Alabama or anywhere really. But yeah, it's going to be a full week, and look for a post-game show after the A-Day game. It's going to be me and Coach Smoot, Chris James, Dan James. Well, Dan's going to be at work, so we won't be with him. Matt Caddell will be with us. Look, in other words, we got a lot of content this week, guys. Don't miss out on any of it. Look for clips. If you hadn't watched some of the episodes I just mentioned, please do yourself a favor and go watch those. On your way out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and tell some people about what we're doing here. We're the number one station for Alabama content. For me and Coach Smook, roll tide.
Roll tide.